Chet Douthit takes the lead.
The 2001 Bassmasters Tournament Trail, presented by Long John Silver's. This is the Bassmaster Louisiana Top 150. Brought to you by Evertroll.
Welcome to Bayou Signet State Park. I'm your host, Reed Ryan, and it's day 4 of the Bassmasters Louisiana 150, and we're down to the final 10. After 3 days of changing weather, tidal surges, and brackish water, Florida's Chet Douthit has a 3-day total of 43 pounds, 9 ounces. That's a 9-pound, 9-ounce lead.
I've been on 2 banks all day fish. That's what I've fished for 3 days now. I'm just back and forth, slow and steady, and the fish are just moving up every once in a while, and you catch one. And I don't know how many's left, but I'm going to go find out tomorrow.
Now, Michigan's Kevin VanDam holds second with 34 pounds, and Oklahoma's Tommy Biffle is third with 32 pounds, 11 ounces.
If it's not sunny and I make me a lap or 2 in there and don't catch them, I may have to go throw in a rat or a frog.
Mike Worm of Arkansas is fourth with 32 pounds, 9 ounces.
I'm only catching maybe 8 to 10 fish a day, but I got good quality, so I'm just going to go after that quality bite again tomorrow and hope I can get 5 more.
And North Carolina's Marty Stone is fifth with 32 pounds, 8 ounces.
Tomorrow to give me something to do. I've got 2 things to do now. If it's cloudy, I'm going to stay with top more. If the sun comes out, I still think I can catch another 12 to 18 pounds.
Filling out the top 10 are Clark Wendlandt, Rick Morris, Sam Sweat, Takahiro Omori, and Todd Otten.
Well, I caught up with Kevin VanDam, Reed, and, you know, he's in the number 2 position. He's got some ground to make up. Can you do it, Kevin?
Well, the only thing I can hope for is to catch a, real good stringer, and, I don't wish bad upon anybody. I consider Chet a good friend, and, he's really in position to win this tournament. So all I can do is go out and do my best and hope I can get those big ones I've been seeing to bite.
Have you got a long way to go this morning?
Yeah, I'm running pretty dang long way. I'm real happy that I've got this new 200 Optimax on the back because I'm not having to stop and fuel up. I'm probably running 170, 180 miles round trip, and I'm still coming back with 10 gallons of gas in a 60-gallon tank. So it's giving me some extra fishing time, and today being a little shorter day, that's going to be real important.
Well, Virginia Beach provides us with Rick Morris this morning. Rick, I know it's bright and early. It's day 4 for you guys. You made the top 10. You're in the 7th position. What do you do to come back?
Well, it's really tight from 2nd all the way down to 7th, so I think anybody in that position has a chance to take 2nd. First place is pretty much sewed up unless somebody can bag about a 20-pound stringer and the first place guy stumbles. You never know, that can happen in this sport.
How far are you going this morning?
I'm going to run about 70 miles.
Is that where you've been fishing all week, same area?
That's where I've been fishing all week. I've narrowed my baits down. I'm just going to throw baits for big fish because, I've already made the top 10, going to get a good payday. I'd like to get a better payday. Top 3 is some really good money, so I'm going to fish for a couple big bites. Yesterday I had a 414, which was lunker for the day, and hopefully today I can catch me 2 or 3 of those.
All right, Rick, best of luck.
All right, thanks a lot.
With $110,000 on the line, you can bet it's going to be a competitive day. We'll be back with the Bassmasters Louisiana Top 150 action from the Louisiana Delta right after this.
This is the Bassmaster Louisiana Top 150. Brought to you by Evertroll. The Bassmasters, brought to you by Long John Silver's. You can't resist the cravings. Berkeley Trilene, catch more fish. Pennzoil Marine, it's the right equipment for fishing. And by Bass Pro Shops, the world's leading supplier of premium fishing tackle.
Welcome back to the Bassmasters Louisiana Top 150. I'm Reed Ryan, and with me is Fish Fishburne. Fish, is there any one strategy or technique that's going to win this tournament for our anglers?
Reed, I believe flipping and pitching will be the technique that'll take it, and I think the guys that are throwing the tube lures, worms, and jigs will probably have the better shot at catching bigger fish today.
Well, the weather conditions have changed. We had a tropical storm come through. Of course, there's been a drought here, a lot of salinity in the water. And then today it's been a bluebird day. I mean, how are these conditions going to affect what happens in this tournament?
It's going to hurt them. The bluebird skies, like you mentioned, it's going to wipe out a lot of the good active fish. It's going to push them up tight against the cover. The guys are going to have to go in there, change their technique, go to a heavier weight to punch through the vegetation. I think that's who's going to catch the bass.
I just kind of wondering how many's left in here. I'm sure there's maybe enough for another day, maybe today, but they're not making it easy. That seems to be a real slow bite. Just had a big one a while ago pull off that really hurt. You know, you can't lose them in this tournament, especially a good one. The bites are too hard to come by, and especially a good bite. But not getting very many little bites, so yesterday we caught quite a few. I probably caught 5 or 6 in here, but hopefully when one bites it, it's a good one. I'm pitching a jig with a crawdad trailer behind it, and mainly just fishing for good bites. I'd like to have a 12-incher, but I'd mainly kind of fishing for the better bites.
Day has been very slow. I thought it might be slow anyway, but it's even slower than what I thought it would. I caught him yesterday on his spinnerbait when it's cloudy and rainy. With these high skies, I thought, well, I'll throw my tube flipping around those trees and see. I think I catch them that way, but they will not bite that for some reason today. They just won't bite it. I really don't know why. You'd think they would be holding up close to those trees next to that deeper water, and maybe they're there and they're just not biting at all. But I can't get them to bite that tube, so I've been throwing my spinnerbait.
Well, we've gone to the top 10 cut, but we've got a couple of guys that just missed it by ounces. I'm here with Rick Clunn and Randy Howell. Clunn with 29.10, Howell 29 pounds and 2 ounces. Guys, how does it feel?
Well, that's not rain on you, that's our tears. It never feels good. You know, you work all these years and you strive to win these things, and making the top 10 is good because that gives you another opportunity to.
Randy, how are you feeling right now? Are you a little dejected, or do you know you get to go to the next event?
Well, I am a little dejected. Like Rick said, I worked real hard and prepared to make the top 10 here. I ran all the way to Venice, you know, ran close to 600 miles in 3 days where I was going, me and Mark Menendez. And I thought I had enough down there to be able to make the top 10 today. The tide didn't get out low enough, and I only caught 4. And that's 2 tournaments in a row I've missed it by 1 fish. And but that's going to help me work a little harder next time.
Did you make any mental errors in this event, Rick, or did everything go pretty much as planned?
No, that's why I probably am not going to be too hard on myself, because I caught every fish that hit me. I really understood the fish I was fishing real well, and I really was. The only thing that I was disappointed in, and I don't have an answer for it, was I really thought I'd get a big bite fishing this water in 3 days, and I never did.
You know, I was hearing a lot from the anglers about the tidal surge, the saltwater influx into the fresh. How'd that affect your fishing this week, Rand?
It really made my fish congregate into one small area. I pre-fished on Labor Day weekend and only found one good area over in the Venice area, and the fish were really stacked in there. And today, I guess, you know, with the tide not coming out, it didn't work out correctly, but, you know, that's the way fishing goes sometimes.
Rick, if you had made the top 10 going into tomorrow, what would you do differently? Just say you had finished 10th instead of 11th. Would you change your game plan any?
I would probably just alter it a little bit. I would probably go to my fish, get a limit off from them, and then expand the water. Since that's a good thing, if you make the top 10, you lose the rest of the field. And so you can expand your water now into areas where you really couldn't fish before because there was boats in those areas. And I was fishing the area that's produced some of the biggest strings in this tournament. So I know that I was around big fish, and I would just try to expand my areas and hopefully, you know, get into some of those better fish.
Now, you know, there's 10 guys fighting it out for $110,000. Who do you think is going to win this event, Randy?
I think without a doubt, Chet Douthit. He's due, and he's paid his dues. He's been out here a long time. I've looked up to him a long time, and he's got an 11-pound lead, and I believe he'll blow it away tomorrow.
Rick, who do you think will do it?
I think he's on the biggest fish, the biggest active fish in this particular tournament right now. Two of the biggest strings have come out of this water. He's sharing it with Marty Stone, and he's got a pretty big lead over Marty. Marty's probably the only one, I think, that has a legitimate shot of catching him. You know, Kevin is a good fisherman. You can never count Kevin out, but I really think Kevin is probably covering a lot of water to catch his fish, and Marty and Chet Douthit are sitting on a wad of big fish.
Clunn finishes 11th. Howell finishes in the 12th spot. Guys, congratulations on still a great tournament and a great effort.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Kevin is one angler that can never be counted out. This morning he made over an hour-and-a-half run and has just started fishing. The biggest obstacles he'll have to deal with today is the change in the tide and the other boat traffic. But by switching between a spinnerbait and a tube lure, he can cover a lot of water and at the same time catch fish that no one else has found.
What I'm using a 7.5 foot Pinnacle flipping stick and their new reel that they've come out with. 20-pound trilene big game. About a 3/8 ounce slip sinker. Oop, there's fish. And a 4/0 owner hook. I don't think he's too short in the breeches. Rigging it with a Gene LaRue Who Daddy and a tube bait. I think the bigger fish got on this Who Daddy yesterday, so I'm going to throw it today some. And I'm just fishing it back in that matted cover. Some of it, every once in a while I'll catch one on the outside edge, and I'll catch some back in it, and some away from it.
Good question, Dominic. What I try and do is base the time of year on the lake I'm fishing, but what I really try and concentrate on is I'll pick one section of the lake and spend that day in that section, and I'll be able to fish all different types of cover and structure on a given creek arm or a section of the lake. And through that day, I'll be able to base what the fish are doing, and once I figure out the pattern in that small section, I can run throughout the rest of the lake and duplicate that pattern and catch more fish.
Send your answer line question to Bassmaster Answer Line, 5845 Carmichael Road, Montgomery, Alabama 36117. Please include a picture with name, address, and telephone number.
Well, I caught up with Tommy Biffle. He's fishing the same area he's been working all week. And Tommy caught one bass yesterday. Tommy, quick question. What do you anticipate happening today?
Well, fish, you know, today's looks like the sun's going to shine. And if that happens, you know, it's cloudy and rainy the last 2 days, but I think the fish will go to biting in here a little better. You know, there's a lot of thick, heavy cover, and I believe it'll put them on the cover. Maybe yesterday, I'm hoping they were out running around, and it was a real tough bite in here yesterday.
Well, here's the bait Tommy Biffle's using. It's the Tommy Biffle Mega Craw on the back of a triple rattleback lunker lure jig. It's black and chartreuse in color. The crawfish matches it. It's a fish catching machine. Thank you, Tommy.
Okay, thank you, fish.
Little fella, but I think it's down. Oh, no good. Okay. All that for that. All 20-pound stringers have got to start with one, right?
VanDam has had to move further back into the cover to find his fish. The tidal surge has raised the water level about 1.5 feet and created some pretty tough fishing conditions.
Well, what I found in practice is I found a few good fish, and I thought in this tournament everybody I talked to is catching them little 5-fish limits that weigh 5 pounds, and I was getting a couple of 3, 4, 5-pound bites a day, and I just made my mind up that I was just going to go big fish hunting, and if I could catch a couple of fish, it's worth a lot more than just them little old 5-fish limits. So that's why I'm sticking to my game plan of just going for 2 or 3, 4 bites a day, and if I can get them, well, they'll weigh 10 to who knows. So I'd rather fish for big fish anyway. I've lucked out and tied for big bass yesterday, and it's just, I always say it's as easy to catch a big one as it is a little one, so I fish for big fish, and if I get bit, well, I can make a lot of ground up quick.
We want to catch a lot of fish when we go out, and in Louisiana, there's so much water and so many different ways to fish. We caught up with Sam Sweat, one of our local top 150 anglers, and we asked him, hey, Sam, how do you catch them? But he's fishing down near Venice, 125 miles from the weigh-in at Bayou Signet. I got news for you. I'm not going down there. But here's what Sam had to say earlier.
The Bassmaster's Pro Tip, brought to you by Evertroll.
As you can see, fishing the Louisiana Delta, it can be exciting. Not only can you catch freshwater species, but you can catch saltwater species as well. One bait that I like to throw down here is just a simple Texas rig worm. But the secret that I like to do, I like to rig it with a light weight, a 3/16 to maybe a 1/4 ounce weight. I rig it with a Mustad 3/0 hook, and I like to put it on a Riverside 8-inch worm. This combination is deadly down here in the marsh because you're fishing very shallow water and you're fishing a lot of cover, and it's very sensitive. And I'll guarantee you, coming from Louisiana, when you come down here and you throw this worm, you'll catch some fish.
The 2001 Bassmasters Tournament Trail, presented by Long John Silver's.
Welcome back, everybody, and I'm with our leader, 43 pounds and 9 ounces after 3 days of competition. He's only been fishing a little while. This is Chet Douthit. Chet, what are you doing up there, and how's it going this morning?
From fish, I'm flipping. You can see the matted up of stuff that I can fish. The fish hadn't been biting until about 9 o'clock. It's a little after 9 now, and I've had one bite, and I lost him. It was about 1.5 pound fish, but hopefully they're going to get to going here in a little bit. Sun's out today like I want, and I hope it'll help me.
Now, you know this fishery consists of thousands and thousands of miles of shoreline. Chet, how in the world would you have isolated it down to this one canal?
Well, fished 2 years ago when we were here, I ended up third over here in Lake Buff, and this year, with the no rainfall that they've had, the lake was really absolutely dry. So all them fish that was out in the lake that I was catching had to go somewhere, so I concentrated in on the canals close to the lake, and I think that's where these fish are pulled to, and I've been able to get some big bites doing this.
Well, Chet, you fished Lake Okeechobee in South Florida for so many years. Is this a technique that works down there?
Yeah, I've fished. This lake reminds me so much of home that I mean, I love this type of fishing. This is my kind of fishing. And yeah, I'm not getting a lot of bites. I'm only getting 6, 7 bites a day. I've been able to put most of them in the boat. I've lost 2 fish in 3 days, and this morning was one of them.
Well, I got one more question for you, Chet, and I'm going to let you get back to work. You've got a huge lead going into this final round, probably one of the biggest leads we've seen in years. What does that make you feel like going into this final day?
Fish, I still got to catch them. I mean, I think if I can catch me 7 or 8 pounds, I think I've pretty, but these guys that we got, Kevin and those boys has been, you know, they've all caught a big string this week one day, and I think I still got to catch 7 or 8 pounds to make it, and I'm gonna try my darndest.
Well, Chet, thank you for your time. We're going to go see if we can catch up with Marty Stone. He's just around the corner, and see how he's doing this morning.
The last 2 days they've been really scattered, and they've got loose on this cover. They've been out in front of it, beside it, and I'm just, that first day when I had that real big bag, it was a struggle for me that day. I never had a fish until like 10:30. And then I lost a couple before that because they wasn't quite getting the bait right. But then after that sun got up and the wind got going real good, and it got in position, and what the wind does on these things creates a current where these fish can sit up on the edge and do a little ambush deal. And when that wind and the sun both got together, it got ugly there for about 2 or 3 hours. It wasn't every flip, but I was to the point I could about call my shot on the way they were positioning. And I still think they're here. I mean, I'm gonna sit in here and die today to try to prove it.
You know, it's about 9:20, and hopefully some of them boys are still running. We're fishing right here by takeoff, and just trying to spend a lot a lot of time fishing instead of a lot of time running. And this morning so far I've got 2. Basically, I'm just going along flipping every piece of wood, brush, anywhere it looks like there might be one laying close to. Tide's maybe down a little bit right now, and we'll come up this afternoon like it did yesterday afternoon, maybe turn them on a little bit.
The 2001 Bassmasters Tournament Trail, presented by Long John Silver's. This is the Bassmaster Louisiana Top 150, brought to you by Evertroll.
How has this place changed in just such a short amount of time?
It's really incredible. You know, we had a real dry summer here, and the salt has moved inland more than most people here ever remember. And there's crabs everywhere you go, and shrimp jumping around. It's just really incredible. The dry summer has allowed the salt water to move in. It's killed off a lot of the vegetation, so it's really changed fishing a lot. 2 years ago when we came here, we were a week after a hurricane, and things were different then, so this place changes an awful lot. Fish move around a lot to try to stay in good fresh water. So,
you know, they've all claimed the saltwater intrusion has had a lot to do with it, and it very well may have, but the big ones just aren't biting, except in a very few places. You know, Chet's found them, and a few other guys have found them. My area that I fished still has some fish in it, but not nearly like it did 2 years ago, and so I had to do some moving around and end up catching smaller limits every day. But this is a kind of habitat that will continue to produce very, very big stringers of fish, and it's, you know, it may be down, but it's not out. It'll be back in a year or two.
I think a combination of the salt and the low oxygen levels, the high water temperatures, and the lack of fresh water just makes them a little sluggish. You know, I mean, conditions aren't conducive for them, and it's tough for a bass to survive through that. So I think, you know, they just kind of shut themselves down and go pretty inactive. So they don't want to swim real far to hit a bait. And, you know, it's not like normal down here for sure.
You know, you can get too much rain and water can come out of the marsh and it not be good, the pH be bad in the water there, and you can have the influx of the salt water. So, you know, there's a lot of things, and these fish just have to move around and adapt to it, and they're pretty good at doing it. You just have to find the areas that they moved into.
In '99, what was the key to your success, and how has that varied to now? Was it structure, or where were you fishing exactly?
Well, it was a combination of vegetation and wood, but the area that I was in, a lot of fish had moved into because of bad water in other areas, and you know, I just had a little place stacked with really big fish. Several of the leaders today are fishing only like a mile or two from where I actually won the Classic last year. I spent a lot of time in that area, but I didn't, you know, find the fish that they found. You know, it's probably the same school of fish that I won the Classic on, but they've moved just because of the water conditions.
Well, we found another canal with one of our top 10 anglers in it. This guy's name is Mike Worm. Mike, you're from Hot Springs, Arkansas. You brought a 5-fish limit in on yesterday. What's going on today?
Well, today is pretty slow. I've got a couple of fish, but with the high skies like we got them, there's not enough clouds or rain. Yesterday they bit a spinnerbait really well, and today, nah, they're not biting it too well. So I've gone with my little backup plan with the Strike King tube, and I can't get any bites on it either. I've got one on each, one on the spinnerbait, one on the tube, but boy, it's been a while since my last bite, and they're very slow.
Did you talk to any of the other top 10 competitors to find out what they were doing or how they were fishing? Have you guys been sharing some information this week?
Oh, somewhat. Most everybody's fishing the same kind of stuff. You know, you look around in these bayous, you can see what you're fishing. You're fishing the grass and laydowns, and in here I'm fishing the stumps and cypress, and they're doing the same thing pretty much everywhere. Down there in Bayou Black down there, they're fishing the canals down there just like they are up here. I think also there's a bunch of guys who are fishing out in the lakes in Salvador and that other lake in those grass beds, and they were catching a lot of numbers, but they were not catching any size. So I'm opting to stay in here and try to catch fewer numbers and better size.
How many different stretches in this canal system did you find that were productive during practice?
This stretch I'm on right now has been my most productive there, and where I start. I start at a crook in the in the bayou down there where it makes the bend seem was real productive yesterday, but today it wasn't. But this stretch right here has got the deep water. It's got, what I mean by having the deep water, it's got the 4 or 5 feet of water right up next to the cypress trees and the stumps. And that's what I've been keying on. And there's been some nice fish around that. And I still think there's some nice fish there if they'll, you know, if they just get hungry and want to eat a little bit. But I know there's still some good fish in here.
Do you have any other places closer to the ramp where we launched at Bayou Signet that you might try later this afternoon on your way in?
No, I do not. If I'm going in, I'll just try to catch one maybe just for a way in, just to kill some time. But no, this is it. If this doesn't work, I'm in trouble.
Today may be one of them days. They're not hitting it real aggressive. They're just bumping it and pulling it just a little bit and then dropping it. And as I say, they're back in that thick stuff where you're going to lose some fish and miss some fish. And I've had 2 today that I've missed. I hope something changes here quick.
Kevin is constantly adjusting to the sun. When it's overcast, he's throwing a buzzbait, but as the sun comes out, driving these fish back up into the thick cover, he's switching to his signature Pro Model tube.
This is the Bassmaster Louisiana Top 150, brought to you by Evertroll. Beyond the Tournament Trail, presented by Long John Silver's.
Well, the first national tournament I ever went to, a friend over here in Tahlequah talked me into going with him. And I'd never been on the lake, so I went up there and he was going to show me around the lake and kind of help me. He'd fished up there quite a bit. Well, it just happened to be the water was up in the bushes. And I went over to some buck bushes and had a lot of bites and ended up coming in second in the tournament, which was the first national tournament, and I was very happy to come in second, and he'd won it. And so that really kind of got me started thinking there wasn't too hard to do good in these tournaments, and I may have got off on a false start. But my wife's Sharon, and she's always fished with me. I have a daughter, Jennifer, 17 now, and we always fished local tournaments together and buddy tournaments, and she is always my partner in these tournaments. And then when Jennifer got old enough, they started playing softball. Well, that kind of messed our fishing up because they played about 60, 70 games a year on softball. And Sharon became a coach, and then I was coaching a little bit when I was home. So that kind of took Sharon out of the fishing part of it. But we have a real nice pond out here in the backyard, and we all get together and fish out there, but we don't get to fish the tournaments and the buddy tournaments like we used to around the house. I'm probably gone around 270, 280 on the road or being gone from the house. Sharon's informed me once or twice, and you know, it gets old. You know, you get tired of being by yourself, and you know, luckily we have some friends and other fishermen that you kind of buddies with, and you know, when you're out on the road, you're just not out there by yourself. So you know, when I'm home or not on the road, you know, when it's deer season, I love to deer hunt. I love to bow hunt, love to just hunt at anything really, duck hunt, deer hunt, and when I'm home, you know, there's always, you've been gone so long, there's always a lot of work around the house here to do. So, you know, mainly get the chores done around the house and get things going to where you can go fishing. We fish in the pond every day or go out here to the lake. We're real close to the lake, fish every day in the summertime. So mainly just work and fish.
Fishing's been pretty tough in this tournament, and I've had to really slow down a lot with a bait and put it right in the strike zone. Earlier in the week, oh gosh, it's the kind of day I've been having, but earlier in the week I was catching most of them flipping the tube, and now I'm kind of swimming a worm and just trying to put it in a lot of these shadowy places like that right there. That was a good fish. Early in the morning and when the clouds are out, a buzz bait has been pretty good for me. I've been getting a lot of bites on it, but I haven't been hooking up with a lot of them. So the main thing for me has been flipping.
Well, it's 20 to 12,
It's been a really slow morning. Changed from a jig. I've been catching them all on a jig and crawdad, and the fish got real tough, so I've gone to just my mega crawl, 5/16 worm weight. Usually that's a good producer when the fishing gets tough. Maybe the jig's a little bit bigger profile than they want today because they're not biting at all. And usually they'll get on that crawdad, but so far it's not working either, so that kind of tells me that the fish are really turned off or gone.
Well, with over 18 pounds of bass on day one, this guy, Marty Stone, leads the event. Now, we're here in the final round, day 4. Marty, you've dropped back to the number 5 position. Tell me what's going on.
Fish, the first day of the tournament, I really had everything just like I had today. I had good sun. I had good, the wind come in here. It positioned the fish later in the day where I could really catch a good bag, and I didn't get a lot of bites. And the next 2 days, I had the clouds. Second day, I didn't execute real well, and I sort of cost myself a little bit. Yesterday, I didn't generate the bites. I only had 3 bites, fish clean, caught all of them, and got here. Today, you know, it probably doesn't make any sense, but I really feel like I'm fishing good. I've got a little rhythm going. I'm moving at a good pace, and that's the whole key in here. Every day they've moved. I've yet to get on a stretch and go, okay, I'm gonna catch 3 here and 3 there. Sort of got to find them, but when you get a bite, it's in bunches.
Show me that bait you're using right there if you've got a second.
Sure. What I'm using right here is a 5-inch Gambler tube. It's a real compact bait, but it's bigger than most tubes. And, you know, the size fish you're catching in here, I'm a firm believer, big bait, big bass. So I've upsized on my tube a little bit. It's going through the cover real well, flipping all these buggy whips and the hyacinths and the water cabbage and anything that really gets in the way. But I'm using a heavier weight. I'm using about a 3/4 ounce weight, getting way back in there to cover. So today, if I don't catch them, I'll probably run out of excuses because I've got all the conditions. It's a deal where I really don't start getting bit till later, and I've yet to figure out an early deal.
You know who else said that was Chet Douthit. He's just around the corner from us right now, and we understand you guys were even sharing some of the same banks.
We will, and every morning about 11 o'clock, I get over there on one of the stretches we're sharing. It's been a neat thing because a person with his quality, you know, even if he's struggling a little bit, would be tempted to go over there, but he's such a quality individual, I don't even have to worry about it. I can show up over there when I want to, and I know I'm gonna get the fish yet very fresh. And it's been a good little bank. I sort of, in practice, when I found that bank, I thought it was gonna be about my number 3 area. But for some unknown reason, and I don't know why, those fish on that bank have replenished themselves, where the other 2 areas I have, they haven't either replenished or repositioned to where I could catch them again real good.
One last quick question. How much time will you allow yourself to get back to check in?
Chet just said this morning, let's leave about 1:30, give us about an hour and a half. I said, brother, if I don't have them, I'm gonna allow myself about 10 minutes and hope thing's got a rocket on it. But I can get here in 55 minutes, and that's pushing it. I hope I've got some fish where I can allow about an hour and 15 minutes.
It's just not my day today, folks.
Welcome back to Bayou Signet State Park and the Bassmasters Louisiana Top 150. You know, one of the greatest things about the Bass Angler Sportsman Society is their catch and release program. And these tournament officials go to great lengths to make sure that these fish stay alive and get back in the water safe. Chuck Harbin, you're the assistant tournament director for bass. Tell me a few of the things that you do to keep them alive.
Well, the first thing we do to keep the fish alive in the mornings before the fishermen check out, we check every live well in every boat to make sure they're working. If they're not working, we won't let them go out. They have to come back and get them repaired.
I noticed that the bags they're toting the fish around don't even hold water. What's the purpose behind that?
Well, the reason we put holes in the bags is we let the old water out. When you put fish in a bag, they use up the oxygen pretty quick. We put holes in the bags, the water drains out. We've got a series of oxygenated water tanks. They'll get some more water in the bags, move to the next tank, and it lets the old water out and new oxygenated water in.
You look in those tanks, the water's, it's green, it's weird looking. Why is it that color?
We use a chemical called alcohol that helps promote the slime back on the fish in case it's rubbed off, and it helps kill any bacteria that might cause a problem in the fish, and it helps reduce stress.
Chuck, I noticed something at the event. You got a bunch of hauler trucks with big aquariums on the back. What are those for?
These are the fisheries trucks that the Wildlife Commission furnishes us. They're oxygenated tanks. They've got chemicals in them also. They'll keep the fish in these trucks until they fill the truck up. They'll leave and go put them right back in the lake.
Chuck, thank you for your time.
You bet. Thank you, Fish.
It's been a long day of fishing for some of our anglers, but for others, they haven't had much time to fish. 2 to 2.5 hours was the estimated time for 4 of the top 10 anglers to make it back to weigh-in.
Well, Sam, you ran 125 miles today is what I heard. Was it worth it?
Yeah, it was the only thing I had going. I did catch 5 fish, but I knew I had a deficit to make up, so I went for my bigger fish, hopefully with a bite. The tides wasn't working for me. They were extremely high. I could hear the fish busting up in the roseau canes 4 or 5 feet out of excess of a jig or a worm, but I managed to get 5 fish, and like I said, I think I got 5 more than if I would have stayed around here. So I put about 1,000 miles on my boat this year. I felt like I went down to Cuba and back.
Do we know who's coming up first? Sure we do. Ladies and gentlemen, please make this guy feel warm and welcome. He's your tournament leader after 3 days, Mr. Chet Douthit. Come on up, Chester. All right, Chet. Now, we're going to bring your fish up in a wheelbarrow.
You can bring it up in a tinker toy.
Tell us what happened today and where are these bass?
Fish, I've been fishing 2 300-yard stretches. 2 banks, about 300 yards apiece for 4 days now. And I thought it would be my kind of day. I was wanting a bright sunny day. I'm catching my fish flipping under the thickest matted stuff that I can find.
You were flipping a real heavy sinker on top of some plastic lures trying to get it through all of the matted vegetation.
That's right, Fish. I was flipping anywhere from a 3/8. I've been flipping a 3/8 to a 3/4 ounce sinker. And the 2 baits that I'm catching them on are Gene LaRue baits. They're one of my sponsors out of Oklahoma. One's a little old fat tube, ring tube. It's about a 4-inch bait. I love to flip small bulky baits in that thick cover. It goes through it easy, and it's just not a big bait. The other one I'm flipping, we call it a hoodad. It's kind of like the brush hog, but it's got a twin tail on it. And these are the 2 baits that I caught most of my fish on, or I caught all of them on, was a June bug tube and a black and blue hodaddy. And that's what I was flipping, is just throwing it. Half the fish I was catching behind the thick stuff. Part of them I was catching down in the middle, and a lot of it I was setting out. And Marty, I know, was flipping right in it all the time. But I caught several fish setting away from it, throwing at the front edge of it. A lot of times I get the bite when the bait hit the bottom, where I'd be working it back maybe 10 foot away from the cover, and I'd get the bite halfway back. And so I just had, one time I'd go down, I'd set off of it a little bit, throw at it, the next time I'd get in tight and flip it. And that's what I've done for 4 days. And
bad news, you didn't catch any. Good news, you're still leading it with a 9-pound, 9-ounce lead. Folks, Chet Douthit. Thank you, Chet.
Thank you.
Woo, watch the weight. Bring him in. This next guy comes to us. Please welcome Marty Stone. Marty, you made it in, brother.
You know, you asked me how long I was going to allow, and I said, well, I think I think everybody else with me was going to allow about an hour and a half. And if I'd have had a nitrogen kit on there, I'd have fished to the last 10 minutes. I got a story to tell, but we'll weigh these in before they dry out.
All right, he's going to have 6 pounds, 11 ounces, 6'11". It's going to keep you up there. It's not going to take the lead. Well, Marty, tell me the story now.
Things were different in there today. It took me till about 12 o'clock to ever realize. I come by a little point, actually the bank that Chet and myself were sharing, and I looked up, and there's the only tree that's anywhere in the area. And it's been about a foot off the water every day. Well, today it was probably a foot in the water. So the water to me had come up about a foot and a half. And I went by this stretch 4 different times. My observer even said, well, this is only the 4th time you passed it. Now you're going to fish it. But I even sat down with an hour and a half to go and looked at the water. And I said, it looks cleaner, but I'm still not sure. And I ran back there to where I caught some of them bigger fish. Not a bite. I come to this stretch with 20 minutes to go fishing. It was unreal. I catch a keeper. I catch a 2-pounder. I catch another 2-pounder, and then I had one just absolutely flush the bait and not get it. And this happened in 15 minutes, and they were forevermore chewing. If I would have just sat down the second time I come by, you know, we talked yesterday about instincts, and my instinct told me the second time, stop and fish, and I didn't listen to it, and I'm going to pay the price here for that.
Congratulations on a great week.
Thanks, Fish.
There he goes, Marty Stone.
The Bassmasters, brought to you by Long John Silver's. You can't resist the cravings. Evertroll, stay out longer, catch more fish. Kumho Tires, Kumho is the way to go. Ranger Boats, still building legends one at a time. And by Motor Guide. With Motor Guide, you can take on the world.
Now, I mentioned to you earlier that some of us live in the United States and some of us live elsewhere. This guy originally was living in Toyohashi, Japan. This guy moves down to Texas. And Texas, as you know, just like Louisiana, one of the best states for bass fishing. He's living in Emory, Texas right now. Come on up here, folks. Welcome Takahiro Amori. Takahiro, congratulations. You got 5.
Yes, sir.
Do you know what you need? You're going to need 13 pounds and 9 ounces. Watch the weight. 9 pounds and 6 ounces. 9-6, Takahiro. It's still a great effort. And watch this one right here. Simba. There is a nice bass. Takahiro, congratulations on a great week.
Thank you very much. I just thank you for everybody here. I just like here. Thank you very much.
All right, Takahiro Amori. And folks, welcome Mr. Mike Worm. Michael.
Hey, my man, how are you?
I'm doing just fine, buddy. I'm pulling for you. What kind of weight's he gonna need? 11 pounds and an ounce. He's got a 5-fish limit. 8 pounds and 3 ounces, 8-3. You had a great week so far. You told me that you were staying in that one area and that there were some other of the top competitors right there with you.
Yes, I was over there in the same area where Marty Stone and Chet are going, and that they kept on going back in there, and I just kind of stopped a little short, so I didn't want to get in their way, you know. But I was fishing the main bayou on Bayou Buff over there, and I stayed in the deeper water. I had a little pattern going with the deeper water up against the cypress trees. I was pulling a Strike King tube and a Strike King spinnerbait as a 1-2 punch there. And every day except today, of course, I had at least one over 3 pounds. But today I couldn't get that fish. And these 5 were the only 5 that bit me today. But the strangest thing is they would not bite my tube today at all. All those fish came on the spinnerbait. Even though the sun was out, they still wanted the spinnerbait. They didn't want the tube. They wanted that moving bait. So thank goodness for that.
Mike, congratulations again on a great week.
Thank you, buddy.
There he goes, Mike Worm. All right. This guy was in the number 3 spot. He might have enough weight right now to take the lead in this one. Folks, welcome Tommy Biffle. Tommy Biffle. 10, 15. Tommy, how many are in there?
I just got 4 fish.
One shy of the limit. He needs 10 pounds and 15 ounces. 9 pounds and 10 ounces. 9 pounds and 10 ounces. But look at these 2 bass right here. This is what it's all about, that fish. Oh, Mr. Biffle. Now, keep in mind that he's going to have a shot at big fish right here. He needs 3 pounds and 7 ounces. The weight? Nope, he's got it. 3 pounds, 11 ounces. That's a $1,000 fish, Tommy. I hope it holds up for you. Man, on yesterday, you just caught one. I know what you're thinking.
Yeah, fish. I had to fish on today, this afternoon, to win this thing. And, you know, I've got a record of coming in second. So, you know, what can I say? I come in second last week in another tournament in the Classic. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take to change my luck. But, you know, I can't really complain. I've had a real good tournament. You know, I found these fish over here just on the other side in this little canal one day of practice, and really didn't know if there was enough there for one day, more or less to last the whole tournament. I kind of felt if I could find them close that everybody would probably run off, and these fish up here would nobody be messing with. And for the first day or two of the tournament, I never saw a boat.
Tommy, great tournament this week. Congratulations, big payday.
Thank you, fish.
All right, Tommy Biffle. And folks, from Clewiston, Florida, he didn't catch a bass. It doesn't matter. Bring him up, your champion, Chet Douthit. Here he is. Chet a check for $75,000 in cash. He'll go home with a fully rigged Ranger boat, fully equipped with a Mercury outboard, AC Delco batteries, Humminbird Zircon electronics, and a big motor guide trolling motor on the bow. Chet, congratulations.
And a big heart attack. Oh, Fish, it's been a great week till today, and I could just see it going away all day, but at least I had a good lead going into it. And 22 years I've been doing this fish, and I did win a team deal. That's the only one they had like it. And Larry Nixon, Stanley Mitchell, and Dusty Pine and I, we won a deal up Thousand Islands in New York, I think in '84, I believe it was.
87.
87, whatever. But 22 years, 1979 is when I fished my first BASS, and I've been close several times. I've had to fish on to win it, and finally one day it come true.
Well, Chet, pick that plaque up over your head if you would. Folks, there he is one more time, your champion, Chet Douthit. Well, folks, that's going to wrap it up. For myself, Fish Fishburne from Louisiana, your top 10 final, Kevin VanDam in the 10th spot, Rick Morrison 9th, Todd Auten in the 8th position, Clark Winlet number 7, Sam Sweat from Covington, Louisiana finishes 6th, Marty Stone in the number 5 position, Takahiro Amori finishes 4th, Mike Worm in the number 3 spot, Tommy Biffle number 2, and going home with $110,000, your champion, Chet Douthit. We'll see you next week on ESPN2 The Deuce for more Bassmasters television.
This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com.